Welcome everyone to the Baviaans Canyon Trail update. We get so many questions on the difference between the hiking days between the Leopard Trail and the Baviaans Canyon Trail. We have taken so much of the learnings of the last 10 years of building the Leopard Trail, maintaining the Leopard Trail, and we have pulled this into the Baviaans Canyon Trail so that it significantly accommodates the diversity of hikers, as well as our ankles, our knees, our backs, and all those different things. We are definitely much better trail builders. And we would like to just go through the different days with you, just to share a bit more of the vegetation and the kind of trail that we've got, your elevation, your distance, so you can make an informed decision of what's awaiting for you, and of course the excitement that we have in store for you. So on the screen with us is Lyndon, my brother, founder of the Leopard Trail and partner in crime on the Baviaans Canyon Trail. And of course, there's just so much insight into the actual trail creating. If you ever get a chance, you should try and do a trail with him and walk with him, because he's got so many insights into how to create fantastic trails. So Lyndon, let's dive straight in. Leopard Trail, Baviaans Canyon Trail, what is the most important thing that we've significantly improved on, even though the terrain is very similar?
Yeah, I think, when we did the Leopard Trail, it was a good 13, 14 years ago. And while we've hiked a lot, there were certainly some lessons that I think we've improved on. Definitely how we handle downhills is probably a massive one. I think some of the Leopard Trail downhills are quite steep, quite tough on ankles and knees. And we certainly learned how to soften those, take them through much bigger switchbacks and get that right. So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest lesson. The Leopard Trail is a great trail. It remains one of South Africa's top trails, and I think Baviaans Canyon Trail just takes that a step further in terms of small things that you might not notice, but we certainly notice in terms of the maintenance and ongoing upkeep of these trails. But just stepping back, I think the Leopard Trail, we're often getting asked at the moment, daily, what's the difference? How do they compare? And I think it's worthwhile having a step back and just a very quick picture of the difference between the two conceptually. So the Leopard Trail very much follows the flow of the land. So it's designed as if you were walking on the trail of leopards. So you're going up the valleys, pretty much the way a leopard would walk. You're going up or down the valleys, and if you're going from one valley to the next, you're going over the saddle, the easiest point to get from one valley to the next. So it's very much the flow of the land. It's fairly gentle and easy for most of the time, and that you're walking up or down the valleys. The Baviaans on the Leopard Trail, the first time you actually get a view of the entire Baviaans Kloof, the breadth, the depth, the magnificence of it, and how truly isolated and wilderness it is on day 4 when you get to the top of Fond Farewell. So that's the first time on the Leopard Trail that you really go, wow, you're getting up onto the level of the plateau to see what you've been walking in amongst in the valleys. Now, Baviaans Canyon Trail is completely different. From day 1, within the first hour, we take you straight up onto that plateau and we say, this is it. This is why you're here. This is the wilderness. This is the landscape. And then pretty much for the next 5 days, we try and keep you at that level. Keep you high up on the plateau, keep you on the ridge lines until you are forced to drop into a valley or into a canyon, so that you can traverse and get from one section of the Baviaans Kloof to the next, because you can't just walk on the plateau at times. If you want to move south or east or west or north, you're going to have to drop in. But very much the principle is to keep you elevated, to keep you continuously exposed to that beautiful vastness in the wilderness, and just have views in 360 degrees that blow your mind. So I think that's a big difference. The summary, the Leopard Trail's down at the level of the valley floors for the most of it, following the flow of the land. Baviaans Canyon Trail, we're wanting to lift you up to the plateau level and the ridge level and keep you there, except for the magnificent moments where you're dropping into the canyons and the cliffs.
Well, that's a good explanation of, as you said, stepping back. One of the other big differences is the length of the trail. The Leopard Trail is kind of half a day, 2 full days and a half a day, whereas the Canyon Trail now is 5 full days, which for some people could suddenly appear as a significant difference. But we've actually designed it so that in the Canyon Trail, the middle day is pretty much a rest day because it's just up and down one of the slot canyons, the magnificent Paradise Cliff, and in effect gives people that break in between 2 full days, including the design that we've done so that they can really enjoy the campsites for those the morning and the evening of that third day. So would you like to jump straight in and actually show the profiles of day 1, 2, 4, and 5?
Yeah, sure. Let me do that. While we're on day 3 of the Leopard Trail, it's very much the day 3 of the Baviaans Canyon Trail. It's very much the day everyone's going to take the most photos of and talk about the most. It's just absolutely spectacular. But the day 1 and 2 and day 4 and 5 are magnificent. Each one of them as a standalone hike is spectacular. And so I think let's get straight into it. All right, so let's jump into it. So day 1 starts at the Baviaans Interpretive Center on the western entry into the Baviaans Mega Reserve, a World Heritage Site. And as we've said, you immediately, within an hour, we're taking up a climb from 844 to about 1,100 meters. So it's a climb of about 300 meters over 200, 300 meters over a 3 kilometers. So not too bad, but very much from the beginning, we wanted to get you up onto that plateau to say, okay, this is it. This is where you're at. For the rest of the day, you're dropping down again into the valleys and cliffs so that we can get you onto a ridge line, a peak at the. This is kind of in the territory of Leopard Trail day 1 and 2, but totally different paths. But we're getting you up onto that peak to really have another great look around before you drop down gradually to your campsite at the end of day 1.
And I think, Lyndon, just to reiterate here, I mean, this is not to scale in the sense of its height to horizontal distance covered. So if I look at this, I freak out and look, that's like really steep. So just to confirm that's not the case. And when there is an uphill, as you've mentioned, we have spent a lot of time in curating the path to really be zigzagging so that someone can continue walking comfortably, even though they are gaining height.
That's correct. All right, day 2, same story. We start you out at campsite, and we're wanting to get you up onto the plateau level, the ridge line. Day 2 is spectacular. You're walking, this section here is actually on the ridge lines of some of the mountains before we drop you down into a very gentle descent, then all the way down to your second night camp. What we haven't got included here is day 3, because that's pretty much a flat walk. It's 4 kilometers each way inside a canyon, a slot canyon. Just the most spectacular of days, just slot canyons that then open up into these crevices in which there are these beautiful indigenous forests with greenery inside these orange cliffs and water flowing through it and mountain pools before it closes down into another slot canyon. So just the most spectacular day on day 3. And then day 4, we are once again starting and heading up onto the plateau. This is about 950 meters to 1,000 meters is the level of the old African plateau from a geological perspective. And we're wanting to get you up there. So we get you up there. And then again, we're walking along some of the Cape Fold ridges that take you up to another peak here at about 1,250, 1,300 meters before dropping down gently through another cliff, another valley, a few slot canyons on your way down again to the camp at the end of day 4. Day 5.
Well, people, when we talk about hiking on the plateau, it really is incredible gentle hiking as we just go up these ridge lines. And of course, on that plateau, the vegetation is classic fynbos where it's easy walking. You've got lots of time to look around, see all the way down the Baviaans Cliff main river section, as well as across the cliff to the far distant mountains. As you mentioned, it's one of those spectacular views where you're just encompassing what is truly the Baviaans Cliff.
Yep. And each day does that, except for day 3. We could have called this the 6 Peaks Trail instead of the Canyon Trail, and that would have been equally appropriate, because if you count them, we're peaking on day 5 once and twice. Day 4, there's 2 there, and then there's 2 more on day 2 and another one on day 1. So we could have called it the 6 Peaks Trail, because we really are getting you up onto those ridge lines, but in a gentle way so that it's not too much of a killer. Day 5 starts quite tough. We have to get you up once again to the old African plateau, and then along the ridge lines, along the ridge lines, and the final walk down gently for the second half of the day down to the Baviaans Interpretive Center where you end. So a circular trip. I think in terms of people often ask, can we rate the difficulty? I think if we had to rate for those of you who have done a Leopard Trail, if you have to rate that at about a 6 out of 10, then this would probably be about a 7 out of 10, purely because the days are slightly longer. But I don't think it's that much more technical. I don't think it's that much more hard. Sure, there are hills here, but it should be just marginally more. If you can do the Leopard Trail, you should be able to do the Baviaans Canyon Trail as well.
So we also have designed the trail to give you the experience of the different biomes of the Baviaans Cliff, which is has such a uniqueness to it. So the design is taking you through the valley floors, up onto the peaks of different vegetation. Day 3 inside those slot canyons with big trees, flowing water, ferns. All of this encompasses the experience of a diversity of vegetation and environments that we take you through on all the different days. Lyndon, anything else that you want to add? Perhaps something about, walking through water in one of the days, as well as, the odd ladder that we will climb up and over?
Yeah, not too much. I think we'll do a more detailed day-by-day break version of this trip, where we actually give you insights onto kind of how to prepare for each day and make the best of it. But just at this high level, yes, day 3, there's going to be sections where you'll need to walk through water. Not very high, maybe ankle high at times, maybe up to your knees, just on the last section. So come prepared for that. There's one ladder section on day 3, not a high ladder, about 4 meters that you have to get up inside a slot canyon, just from a pool up to the pool above it. But definitely nothing that's too... We get a lot of questions around vertigo for people who have vertigo. We're not walking on the edges of any cliffs. There's nothing that should make it a problem for any people who experience vertigo issues. So I think generally a fairly... For us, maybe, I can't wait to get feedback from hikers on the trail, but for us, I think it's a fairly doable trail for the majority of hikers.
So there we go. There's the outline of the Baviaans Canyon Trail. Make sure you book in as soon as possible, and we look forward to seeing you there.